self-curse temp chains, which is a build template that involves cursing yourself with temp chains to make buffs on last like 4 times, up to 4 times as long on you. So usually this is to extend Headhunter and Inspire Learning buffs to pretty much be at the maximum mapping speed you can handle. For this build guide I'm gonna be trying using only the bare minimum essentials and then filling the rest in with as budget of a gear as possible. So the whole setup I'm currently going to be using is around 30 exalts. I'm not using a Headhunter, I'm using 3 Inspire Learnings, and I'm going to go over everything in a bit. Mind you, if you plan to do this build, that these characters usually are unable or very unoptimized to kill bosses, and the only place they will really shine is in very juiced maps, so you want to always run beyond on your maps from the Xenomap device for 5 chaos, and you want to also always like use sextants. I currently don't have any, but you want to sextant your maps, you want to roll them, you want to use scarabs if possible. So the more mobs you add to the map, the better your build will perform. Now, the items required to go self-curse is to start off Shackle of the Wretched. You need this since this is the only reliable item to curse yourself, and you want it socketed with temp chains, curse on hit, and then a trigger. Most people use Herald of Thunder since it's a pretty low mana reservation, it gives you some damage, and it's a very reliable trigger. And you want them socketed into the gloves, else it will not work. The second item you want Kelm's Root, unless you're a Juggernaut, since you're looking for action speed cannot be modified to below face value, and the only 2 ways of getting this is either using Kelm's Roots or being a Juggernaut. And those are the only actual like 100% necessary items, but I would even include Solstice into that list, since to benefit the maximum amount of your temp chains, you need either 175% curse effect with a Solstice or 225% without it. So you can count this as 50% curse effect for the amulet. On top of that, still has some stats, some life, some damage. It's all around a good amulet, and currently it's only sitting about 1x, including the enchant, so it's pretty good. And then, of course, I think to even consider going self-curse, because the main things to benefit with, I would say either have a Headhunter or have at least 2 Inspireds. I wouldn't start with just 1, but ideally even 3 if you don't have a Headhunter, and if you do have a Headhunter, I would only use 2 at most, or even 1, or even none will still be fine if you have the Headhunter. Now the next thing is, to benefit the most amount, is you want up to 175% curse effect. I'm gonna assume you're gonna use a Solstice, so you want 175. Now there's a few ways of getting curse effect into the game, and I'm quickly gonna show you a notepad of some of the most common ways. So you can get 11% on a gem. It's not the level that matters here, it's the quality. Every 1% quality gives you 0.5% curse effect, so 22% quality would give you 11%. The 11.5 doesn't really matter because it always gets rounded down. You can get 30% on the helm enchant like we have here. You can get up to 40% per medium cluster. Now I'm talking about the new jewels, that is. You want the curse effect ones, and you want ones with 6 passive skills. Now you can even have no jewel socket here, so instead of jewel socket I would have another 6% here, and that's how you get up to 40, because the rolls you want on these is increased effect, and it doesn't matter if it's 25% or 35% like I have on this one, because all the nodes will only get to 6% in total. And the second mod you want on here is Dark Discourse, which is the only notable that gives you 10% increased curse effect. And if this jewel socket wasn't here, it would be 40% per cluster, which is the absolute maximum you can get for each cluster. Now if you're using voices, you can get 3 of these and get 120% from one branch. Then the next things you can use is a Glorious Vanity, which I won't really talk about since it's a very high budget option, because to get a really good Glorious Vanity that gives you a lot of curse effects is going to be very expensive, so I won't really cover that in this video. Conqueror's Efficiency, which is a cheap jewel you can get in Act 8 from the quest. It's like a 1 alchemy jewel, but you probably won't use this in this day and age. If you're using a shield, you can craft from the bench 10% as a suffix. And then the Ascendancies, you can either play an Occultist, which we're gonna be doing, which gives you 25% curse effect, or you can play a Scion, which gives you 10%. And on the skill tree you can get up to 40% curse effect, and the most you can get from one node is 15%, which we're gonna be using as our anointment on our amulet, which is here. And then the rest of the curse effect, you have another 5% here, you have 10% on these 2 nodes, and you have another 10% on these 2 nodes. So now that I've covered all the basics, I'm going to give you a build showcase that uses self-curse temp chains, and for this demonstration I'm going to be using Blade Vortex. It's probably the most used spell in this matter, and it's also the one I recommend most, since it's pretty easy to scale since it's a spell. With just gem levels and your linked gems, you will have more than enough damage to do red maps even on a very budget setup. Now do mind that as long as you do have the bare minimums that I've talked about, you can use any skill you prefer, and you can fill out the rest of your slots as you like, so you can get explode, you can get a curse on your rings, you can do whatever you want, and most likely it will work. Also do keep in mind that this is going to be a very budget setup, so it's not going to be hardcore viable. At least I wouldn't recommend it for hardcore viable, since you will most likely die here and there at the start of your ramp up. And keep in mind that these builds, the more you invest in them, and depending on what you prefer, so if you go tank here at the start or more damage at the start to ramp up faster, the more money you will put into them, the faster you will ramp up and the safer it will be. So I'm gonna go over the setup I've chosen, and do keep in mind I've tried to be as budget as possible, so you can easily make a lot of improvements to this build depending on what you need. You gotta remember with these builds is customization is key, so if you wanna get more HP, that's up to you. If you wanna get more damage, that's up to you, but I'll just show you what I've gone with. So first of all, use the bow with plus gem levels. You can craft a bow like this yourself very cheaply. You can just get 6 porcupine cards, it will cost you 18 chaos in total. Gives you a 6 link short bow at level 50. And then you can use fossil combinations with faceted fossil, corroded fossil, prismatic fossil, and etheric fossil. And most likely you will roll at least 1 or 2 of the gem modifiers. And then as long as you have an open prefix, you can craft +2 on it. Or you can just buy a bow like this, or better, and you can probably find one around 3 to 5 to maybe even 10 exalts depending on how good of a bow you want. Also, coloring this bow is pretty easy since it's a low base short bow, so it's only a 26 dex requirement base, so it was pretty easy to get off colors on. For the helm, I got Crown of the Armored Eye. This is definitely not the best option. I just had it around for it was the only helm I had laying around with the enchant, which is the most important here. You can just use a rare helm, which you can probably get for around 30 chaos with this enchant, and get some life and resist on there. The amulet, in my opinion, is the best in slot. Solstice Vigil pretty much counts as 50% curse effect on top of the damage, the stats, and the attributes it gives, so it's very good. It's about 1 exalt currently with the enchant. The quiver is very good if you're using Blade Vortex, since it gives you physical damage converted to fire damage, since Blade Vortex is a physical spell. And you also get physical damage as extra fire damage. It's only 10 chaos, and it's pretty easy to get a corrupt on these. That gives you physical as extra of an element, which is some decent damage as well. The gloves, they're 1 chaos, they're essential for the build. You can also try and get a corrupt on here, like spell crit or a curse, but that's probably going to be more expensive. Chaos roots, they're 1 chaos, they're also essential for the build. You can get an enchanter here or a corruption. I don't think it's going to be that much more expensive, but you're going to get like 10% move speed, enchant, or corruption. And then for the belts, I mean, you should always have the goal in mind to try and get a headhunter, but to start with, Viscous Leash is a very solid option. It's only 20 chaos, it gives you rampage and some quantity. And then for the chest, this is just a chest I'm laying around, but the only relevant stat on this is the explode mod. Enemies you kill explode. Now you can play without this, but they go for about 4 exalts. You don't even need it to be 6 links, since your main skill is going to be in your bow. So I would try and get this, it will help you a lot with the explosions and maps, but if you can't, you can just use a chest with life and resist. And the rings, again, I just taken out 2 rings from my stash which resists pretty much on them. I know they do have a lot of resist, especially this one, but you don't really need to be res capped, since from the inspired learnings and the headhunter you will steal a lot of rare mods, and it's pretty common to get resists. While you're mapping, you will probably see resists go up to like 500 to even maybe 1000 plus of each resistance, so it's not that big of a deal. But again, you can see what you want. You can get a curse on there, you can get resist, you can get some damage, so it's up to you what you do with your rings. As for the flasks, I would always use Alchemist Quicksilver of Adrenaline, makes you a lot faster. Diamond Flask, bleeding isn't essential, since you can get a jewel with corrupted blood can be afflicted upon you, and that will be just enough. Jiru's Promise pretty good, since we benefit from both mods. Cinder Swallow pretty good, because the recover is pretty decent here as well, especially since you do ignite enemies with this build. Also gives you onslaught, so you don't need to get onslaught on a jewel. And then I went to Taste of Hate. gives you some damage, some tankiness, and it only costs about 7 chaos. I'm gonna go over my gems. So I have a blade vortex, only level 20. The base gem's level 20. So then I have an empower level 3, which is 5 chaos. So I mean, if you just get a 21 here and level 4 empower, and this bow is like very bad, you can easily get a better one. You can easily get your blade vortex to level 31 even. Then I have control destruction, inspiration, hypothermia, and unleash. You can swap out hypothermia for increased AoE, but I didn't have the color and didn't feel like coloring the bow anymore. But you can also get awakened gems, of course, and stuff like that. As for the auras, I'm using Herald of Ash, Hatred, put an enlighten here, but it's not really needed, but it's up to you what you do with it. Because you can even drop Herald of Ash if you want and just use Hatred and Herald of Thunder. And here I also have Precision level 1, which gives me some crit. As for the passive 3, I went with 3 Inspired Learnings. When you use Inspired Learning, you gotta make sure you have 4 notables selected inside the radius. So here you have some customization. You can take mana and drop another one, but I feel like these are probably the ones you want to use. Then I have another one here, which again you have some customization with these nodes, but I think these are the best case scenario for points. And then here you don't have any customization. If you want to use a third one, I would, depending on your ascendancy, for this case we're going to be a cultist. I think this one's the best. Well, this and this one are the 2 best locations, so it's up to those. And then you can either use this location, or you can even use this one here. It's also very good nodes. You get some crit and some frenzy charge and life and resist. Or you can use this one, or you can just drop the third inspire altogether. The rest of the skill tree is, I mean, pretty generic. You just get some damage, some AoE here, AoE there, and you just fill out your inspired learnings, get some life on the way, some dual sockets, and then you get a voices. I got the lowest voices I can, which is 7 passives. It goes about 6 exalts currently. Now, technically you don't need a voices, since you can use 2 large clusters. You can get one here and one here and fill that out, and then just get 2 mediums in each one. But this is the setup I went with. For the jewels, again, you just want cursed jewels with 6 passives on them. You can even remove the jewel socket, but it's up to you just to get your 175% curse effect. I didn't need it since I'm a cultist, and I'll go over how much curse effect I have and where I get it from in a second. But as for now, so it's just all the discords with effect, so I'm getting 34% from each cluster here. As you see as well, I don't even have any jewels in. This jewel I only have it here for corrupted blood. I don't have anything else selected. I won't use this jewel as just a placeholder jewel. And again, this is another placeholder jewel for you cannot be hindered. You do want a jewel with this, because you will hinder yourself with this setup, so get a jewel that's corrupted. Obviously get a better one than this, because this is elemental hit jewel, does nothing else for me. And then again I have another jewel socket empty here, so as you can see there's a lot of room for improvement. So I'm gonna go over how I got my 175% curse effect. So I have 15% on the anointment on my amulet, I have another 11% on the gem, I have 30% from the helm enchant, then I'm also getting 25% from my ascendancy, which you get 5% here, you get 5% here, and then you get 15% here, so that's 25. And then I have, from these clusters, I'm getting 34% from each of these. So in total, all is 183% curse effect, so I'm even about 8% over the limit, so I can probably drop one of these nodes and still be more than fine, but just to show you that it's not that difficult to get the curse effect. Even if you're not playing cultist, you can still get other nodes, you can get more medium clusters right here, so it's up to you how you customize it, but that's just how I went with this setup for the showcase. Now I'm gonna quickly do a map showcase to show you how the build functions, and then I'm gonna show you how to go about making upgrades to your build.
I need more mana.
Still alive, exile. For now.
So that was the map showcase. Now I'm gonna show you how you would go about making changes to your build and how to get more inspiration. So I would suggest you go to poe.ninja. First you'll come on this page, which it will show you prices of a lot of items in the game, and you can see charts, but we're not going to be talking about this section of the website. On the top right you will click go to build, and you can also select the league, but I would just suggest leaving it on the softcore temp league. And then here you have quite a few filters. It will usually show all characters between level 96 and 100. I mean, obviously you can change this and play with it, but for this thing, you can here filter for items or main skills. You can select whatever you want to use. So say you really you want to go for self curse, so we're gonna select shackles because we know everyone using shackles of the wretch is gonna be playing self curse. So it will filter out only the characters using shackles of the wretch, and then it will also tell us the majority are playing occultist. Second highest ascendancy is assassin. So we can see the occultist is very popular for playing self curse. Let's say we're also an occultist. So now it's gonna show us only occultist. And then it shows you the percentage of the other items people are using. So like I said, Kiln's Root 100%, since this is also necessary, since you're not Juggernaut. Then it shows us the items that most people are using. So like us, they're also using Signal Fire, There is Promise, Voices, Their Swallow, Inspired Learnings. I mean, Headhunter, most people already have a Headhunter since it's over 1 month into the league. Well, not yet, but almost. But don't worry if you don't got one yet, there's always enough time to farm one still. Like I said, see Solstice, there's 3 people that aren't using a Solstice, but let's say you are. And then you can see here for the main skills, so Blade Vortex is the most popular one. So you can select Blade Vortex, and now it will show only people using Blade Vortex and have these 3 items. So you can here select what you want to use. It will also show you for Blade Vortex the most used support gems, so Empower, Inspiration, Increased Area of Effect, Unleash, Awakened Unleash. So you can see, and let's say for example you really want to use Intensify, so you can select Intensify and it will show you the people that are also using Intensify. And then for example now you can just open the profile of these people and it will show you their setup, all their items, their jewels, their skill tree, and all their skill gems. So you can just look at a few people to get a few ideas on what items to use and what you want to use. But I would suggest not getting too many filters selected, because then the amount of people you see will shorten quite a lot. But let's just say you're playing Blade Vortex and you have these 3 items to go self cursed and you're an occultist. What you can also do is show passive 3 heat map here, which will pretty much show you the most nodes people are taking with this setup. So you can see the darker it gets, so the more red it gets is what people have. So for example, this path here is what everyone selected already, so everyone's batting through here. Everyone's also getting this AoE here, and then we can see Templar area is relatively active as well, and so is the Assassin area. But then for example, the Inspired Learning here, there's quite a few people. I mean, it's still maybe like 30 people or something that are taking this, but then you can see this one's less attractive, but there's still quite a few people taking this as well. So you can get an idea on how to path through your skill tree. Obviously it's pretty hard to copy all of this, alright, because there's too many points, but you can get an idea. And then you can also check this YOLO new guy, I know him, he's also a streamer. So for example, you can check out his build, you can see what he's doing. He's stacking void batteries, he's doing the circle rings. See, he also has an explode chest, so you can get some ideas on what he's doing, you know, the links he's using, how his setup is, and you can adapt your build that way. So that was the guide. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask. I'll try to respond to everything I see. So